Guys, are you ready for the ultimate showdown this weekend at UFC 298? Join me in the action by leaving your picks for the fights in the comments below. I have teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, and right now, new customers get a no-sweat bet. You can get a bonus bet back in the amount of your original bet if your pick doesn't hit. Minimum deposit $5. Sign up using my promo code Sonnen. And DraftKings has something for existing customers as well. All customers get SGP insurance every day. Get a bonus bet back if one leg of your SGP bet loses. Minimum number of legs required and max bet vary. And if sports betting is not yet available in your state, do not worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. New customers, use my promo code Sonnen and you get a no sweat bet. So click on the link below and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Is Volkanovski too old? Is his time up? Is he taking this at the wrong time? Is he slowed down? Is he over and done with? If he loses this fight, is he out of championship contention? With Volkanovski's age, if he loses this fight, does he fall to number one contender and possibly look to do an immediate rematch for the very title that he passed to somebody else, or because of his age, does he move on? I mean, these are all the topics, guys. They are at DraftKings right now. My partner's got these guys negative 118 to plus 102. I cannot believe how close Volkanovski is to becoming the underdog. And you're not seeing anything with age. You're not seeing anything with mental capacity. You're not just seeing anything based on the numbers. What you're seeing here, and you're missing it, right? It's like all things in fight business. Believe I have friends that are executives at the major companies for 20 years that don't know the fight business. But what you're seeing, and the lesson you should be gathering, is how helpful a loss is. None of this story of Volkanovski 102 and 118 and is he old? Can Topuria be the one? Is Topuria the one? Is it a passing of the torch? Make sure you tune in. None of that works if Volk beat Islam. None of the storyline and the anticipation and looking at and realizing this could be the one. Wow. This number one contender in Ilia Topuria who got here, the only way we could find to get a number one contender here, which is make sure he stays away from Max Holloway, is getting ready to bring down the greatest of all time. Not just featherweight, possibly fighter. Possibly. And before you say, no, so-and-so is better and so-and-so is better, which you have the right to do, but before you do that, make sure guys like Kamaru Usman, Khamzat Chimaev, Henry Cejudo, Amanda Nunes, Jon Jones, make sure you understand that they have already been included in this debate and lost. Pound for pound, number one, in front of all of them, was Volkanovski. So Volk is already breathing very rare air. You're going to have to go back. You're going to have to bring in the Khabibs and the St. Pierres, and you really don't have anybody else. When Volk surpassed Jon Jones and Amanda Nunes at the same time, while simultaneously being in front of Islam, Cejudo, and Kamaru, it put him into a very rare category. Had he not fought, see, I'm telling you, if he beat Islam, this fight doesn't work from an anticipation standpoint. If he hadn't fought Islam, this fight doesn't work from an anticipation standpoint. It would be about 3-1. Two things came when Volk fought Islam the second time. First off, he lost, which we didn't know that was possible. He got stopped. The great enforceable, the thing that you can't stop. You just found that button and you flipped it to red, right? Turned him off. Didn't know that was possible. Then, collectively, you caught an interview where Superman revealed his kryptonite. Had that not happened, had that less than 5 minutes in time not happened, we do not have plus 102 to negative 118. We do not have anticipation. We do not have talk of a 35-year-old, which is proven to be very young in our sport. Randy Couture debuted at 34. We don't even have these conversations. And I bring that to you because of how helpful the loss is. You just got to know where to look. And Dan had told a story. I'll get it as close as I can, but I'll get the theme 100%. Which is, you don't know what good news is or what bad news is. You hear things, you have a reaction, you decide right there in that moment if this is good news or bad news. And a farmer out in the olden day, but his only son breaks his leg. And people came to him and said, oh my God, this is awful. I know hospitals back then. Imagine the pain and no anesthesia. There's not cash. You're doing the best you can. You got splinters between a couple of sticks you found out in the burn pile. Man, I'm just sharing for you. A big deal, break your leg. And they came and told the old man, oh my God, this is terrible news. And he said, maybe. And then 2 weeks later, the military came through. They were doing a draft. They were grabbing anybody that was fit and taking them to battle, and most were not coming back. The farmer's son, because of the broken leg, could not go and did not go. And his life was saved. So you start to see, oh, maybe that wasn't bad news. And I share that for you because nothing is more helpful than the truth. That expression that it will set you free is one of the more true expressions in life. I watched the promotion attempt to erase reality and say that Jon Jones had not lost. And they were doing that in an attempt that they thought that would hurt. A 32-0 Jon Jones is better than a 31-1 Jon Jones. And they went the wrong way. They should have advertised that loss repeatedly. They should have worked within that loss. The rules are extremely clear, and Jon broke the rules. But why? Did he lose focus in that moment? Is he so detached from the sport of which he is king that he never knew the rule in the first place? Jon himself has told 2 different government agencies, one of them, the police, on video that he has CTE. Is that what happened? Is that why he lost control and dropped those elbows? Is Jon's drug and or alcohol use, is that why he had a rage and lost control, broke the rules, and was forced to be disqualified? Now, everything that I just said built a reaction in you. Some of you laughed, some of you liked it, some of you wanted to pile on, and some of you quickly wanted to come to Jon's defense. Either way, all I did was use the truth and make that part of the story, as opposed to being so uncreative of how to tell a story that I wanted to get out my eraser and erase it. Do you guys ever watch Scorsese? Scorsese, easily the most overrated person in the industry. And I like his work. His work is fine. He's terrible at what he does for the most part. Like, there's not a lot of Scorsese movies that you're going to see where they don't have a voiceover. Now, a voiceover is akin to putting writing on the script before you fade to black and roll the credits. Like, the movie is over, and they put the captions on, and you're supposed to read it. You only have to do a voiceover or those captions if you lacked the ability to tell the story. If there is some piece of a story that you didn't know how to tell to the audience in captured visual and captured sound, which is what a movie is, you then write it down on the screen so that they get the story because you're not very good at your job. So if you lack that level of creativity, and I'm just sharing with you, like, there's parts and messages within our sport, within what is promotion. This is getting ready to be Volkanovski's biggest fight ever. The live gate will be revealed to you. But to do a sellout in mixed martial arts in the state of California, which is a red hot state, but to do that at 145 pounds has not been done before. This will be a first, just to let you know how big this fight is. And before you think it's Ilia Topuria, and you might make that mistake, and I don't say this to hurt Topuria, it's not Ilia Topuria. Mr. Waddle Bottle did not just all of a sudden become a star, or somebody talking trash to Volk. See, this is very surface level, because that's what it appears to you. Oh, somebody's talking trash to him. Somebody's going to bring him down. None of those things are the ingredient that built this fight. This fight is built because Volk got beat. What you thought was impossible, you now know is possible. What you thought was impossible, you now view as probable. If you were to look at a younger guy who's never lost, something said for momentum, which we know is important in sport, versus a guy they had to wake up with smelling salts 3 months ago. It's important to know what works. It's important to know why it works. It's important to know how to make these things work. They're far more helpful. Plus 102 to negative 118 is a perception that is fully based on a perception. Doesn't matter how silly that is. Doesn't matter which way this fight goes. Volk versus Islam was 3-1 based on perception. It ended up being one of the most competitive and closest fights to where the judges didn't even agree. That's what a split decision is. Where you guys didn't even agree and the promoters didn't fully agree, which is why they rematched it immediately. In spite of other things that led to it. But are you understanding? People miss it all the time. They don't know what to look for. They don't know what's right in front of their face. I only bring it to you because it's yet another lesson. There's nowhere you can go to major in fight promotion, and there's no book that you can check out. It's a very closed-mouth business. When you meet guys that know, of which there's 5 alive, and you think I can go watch their interviews, they're not going to give you the information. They're going to give you what's known as misinformation. They know fellow competitors are watching, so they educate them in the wrong direction. You got to be very careful. I'm doing my best in this situation to help and let you know what the added ingredient is. You don't think Volk is too old, and if Volk gets beat up by Topuria, it's not because he's too old. Because Topuria is better than him. Volk was the #1 ranked fighter in the world this time a year ago. Volk is currently the champion of the world. So there's no, I'm too old, I'm too slow, I'm too anything. You're as good as this guy or you aren't. But that idea, that conception and perception, right? Volk is younger than Jon Jones, who is not going to fight for years. Volk is 6 years younger than Stipe Miocic, who's a reigning #1 contender. I mean, like, this is a silly conversation, but it exists. It only exists for one reason. Because there's one thing about this fight that makes it helpful and interesting, and only one. And it's what so many people would normally run from. It's a loss.